Good morning. It is me, Pearl, from Pearl and the Prayers, and this is Tuned In Tarot. And we're about to take a look at the balance between the divine masculine and divine feminine energies inside of ourselves. Understanding that whatever state we find this energy in, we can expect to see reflected back to us in our outside world. So, in interactions we have with people, in our environment, etc. And if we want to see change, we have to make change within ourselves. So, I'm going to tell you right from the start, this reading is crazy. We already got four aces. So, all four aces are in the spread and some of them are repeating across decks. So I don't know what that means, but I guess I'll read and find out. We're going to start today with Divine Masculine because he has more cards showing. And interesting. Okay. Here we go. Top of the deck, overall headspace, forefront of the mind for Divine Masculine energy, Nine of Wands. So we have Divine Masculine in isolation. He's separated himself from others for the moment. There's healing that has been happening, but this is also a card about perseverance. So we see this Divine Masculine intending to persevere and be able to overcome whatever obstacles he is feeling is in front of him. So he's wounded, he's fought battles, he's wounded, but he's now this wounded healer energy. And from the wounds and healing of these wounds, he's gained this strength that he didn't have before he received these wounds. So he's mindful about how this process and this journey is a fulfillment of exactly what it is he needed to be strong enough, like basically like putting the steel in the fire to like harden the steel and make it I don't know anything about that. I have no idea. But whatever that concept is, like putting the sword in the fire, what am I even saying? The niggling thing in the back of his mind is this King of Cups energy. So he's feeling very mature in his emotional mastery. Um this is actually interesting because normally when we see King of Cups for Divine Masculine, it's almost always about the silence that he's keeping, which there's still silence here, obviously. If he's in Nine of Wands energy, he's isolating, he's not speaking, we're seeing silence. But the niggling thing is not about the silence so much as it is about the fact that he really feels he has achieved emotional mastery. And he desires to keep experiencing this and is working a lot on emotional regulation, which is a concept that um, has come up for me lately. So he is feeling this mastery. The King of Cups is also, of course, kind and compassionate, caring, just, very loving, very sensitive, very psychic. So it could also be about like underlying everything. He has this sensitivity, this connection with divine feminine as well. Um, but it really is about some feeling that he has of mastery. The first thing on his mind is this Ace of Swords in reverse. So we're starting off with the aces, and we're gonna see them all. But we start with the Ace of Swords, which is about clarity, it's about new ideas, it's about having the ability to see your future by an awareness kind of your behaviors from the past, that sort of the struggle and strife you experienced, the wounds you received in the Nine of Wands energy. The Ace of Wands is about that enlightenment that comes from having received the wound, healed, and now having clarity about where the wound came from, its origins, and its I guess like how it can be defeated, so to speak. So we're seeing a reversal on the Ace of Swords for Divine Masculine, I think, because there is some resistance here to this new idea of himself. He's not used to feeling a sense of emotional mastery. He's used to being much more in this next energy, which is the King of Pentacles. This is the man of the world, someone who knows how to deal with his coin. He has a strong foundation. He's very focused on the material manifestation of his desires. And he has a big ego typically. Because he, has this sense that he knows how to make things work in the real world, there's also kind of like a know-it-all sort of thing there that can happen from King of Pentacles. But it's also a good card because it's about worthiness. It's about feeling worthy enough to be able to do the things that you want to do and really be a part of the world. It's also in its light traits, it's about abundance, wealth, prosperity, protection. So providing and protecting. This is the idea of himself that he's most used to. This new idea, this niggling feeling that he's this very sensitive, psychic, benevolent, and compassionate king with a lot of emotional mastery is a much newer idea. And he's not entirely comfortable with it yet. So we see him still kind of being in this, staying in his comfort zone in regards to like, I don't really know exactly how to handle like the whole emotions thing, but like the real world, I got that down. So I'm going to just keep doing that because that's making my worthiness, that's making me feel pretty secure in my worthiness to kind of just stay in this practical, career-oriented material, like this I understand. So he's comfortable here. But then we have the Queen of Swords in reverse up next. So I think what we're seeing him reflect on is he's not comfortable with these new ideas. It's like he doesn't know what to do with himself. He's worthy. He's holding on to the pentacle. We see the ace, that ace of pentacles. We see the pentacle right there. He's holding on to it. It's fully matured. It's ready to be offered. But he's like, I don't know what to do with myself. Like, I'm kind of at a loss, and I want divine feminine to be approachable. I don't want her to be, too cautious with me. I don't want her to be defensive. I don't want her to be cutting. He also doesn't want to be calculating and manipulative himself. He's trying to release any of the anxiety or fear that is produced by this discomfort with being able to really clearly see himself as this fully worthy, loving, sensitive, emotional master. He's like just really trying not to go into this strategizing, which he realizes he does to try to make himself comfortable. And he's not wanting to do that because what that does is put him into this Eight of Swords energy where he protects himself from his divine feminine. In this cosmic tarot that I was called to use today, we're getting this awesome Eight of Swords imagery where we see the two individuals inside of their own prison that's not a prison, not looking at each other, being sad and lonely and isolated, and all they have to do is turn around and they're right there. And so divine masculine is really seeing how being incapable of embracing this new idea about himself, feeling like he's old, like he's too old to change or something, or like he's just done these things, even if it's not about age, he's just done this for so long. He's not entirely sure he can do something new. The other thing is he's having a hard time seeing exactly why he does this. He knows that focusing on the material and trying to control everything in the material world and trying to strategize and be very calculating about how he proceeds forward. He knows that it's sabotaging him or protecting him from what it is that he desires, which is to be with this Queen of Swords who he has a lot of respect for. But he doesn't understand why. He knows he does this, but he doesn't really quite understand why. And he would like to know that. And so he's thinking a lot about this. He wants to see clearly why he goes into this King of Pentacles energy and causes this conflict with divine feminine, because what he really wants is to be happy. He feels the sun energy. He feels that he has started to heal this inner child. We see that because the Nine of Wands is here. The inner child is now growing into a fine young man. So we see that like those wounds are being healed, and he's starting now to become the magnetic version of himself that he would have been if he received what it is that he perceives he didn't receive. So we see him in this process, and this is something that makes you feel very happy when you start to have this experience. And so he is feeling this way. And he doesn't want to protect himself from this happiness anymore. He wants to be able to experience this with divine feminine in this 3D. He is truly magnetic, right? It is this healing of this inner child that has now allowed him to be in his worthiness energy and to receive a lot of abundance. He's receiving abundance I think he didn't even expect to receive. And so he's really wanting to experience the fulfillment of this happiness and share this abundance and prosperity that he's been able to accumulate with divine feminine. And the next thing on his mind is the Magician in reverse, which is clarifying the Queen of Swords in reverse. And so this is who he is powerless to. He is powerless to divine feminine's whims, he feels. If she decides to block him, there's really nothing he can do about it. If she decides to be in her, intellect and be calm and level-headed and in command of her emotions and, having conquered them, and I guess having that mastery, emotional regulation kind of mastery thing that he's working towards himself too. So if she has this and he approaches her in this state, then he's going to be able to see this fulfillment of his happiness. But if she protects herself from him, or if he continues to engage in behavior that is frankly protecting himself from her, I think it's funny that horn is going out there. It reminds me of the Fool. Like there's like a joke or something out there. But if he continues to do this, then he will continue to block his happiness and he won't be able to manifest it. But this is what he's thinking about, remember? He's thinking, I'm at the mercy now of this divine feminine. It's really kind of up to her, and I'm powerless to be able to really have any kind of effect on how it is she's going to receive me. And I'm just hoping that she's receiving me in the light of the Queen of Swords and not in the shadow. The first thing, or the top of the deck for the heart space, is another ace. It is the Ace of Cups. It is in reverse, but it's not because we have a divine masculine who needs to fill up his cup and get self-love or anything like that. No, this is not my experience right now of this card. The reversal is about being ready to finally pour out what is in the cup. And that there is a lot, that there is so much overflow because he's been withholding the cup. And that's really what we're seeing his heart is feeling, that he has this completely full cup and he has been choosing to withhold it. And that is clarified by the niggling feeling in his heart space, which is the Ace of Wands, also in reverse, which is again about withholding his heart's desire. So by withholding this cup and not giving it to divine feminine, he has been withholding his true heart's desire, which is to give the cup to the divine feminine. The niggling thing is also a sense that he's really needing to control any sexual energy. He wants this to be heartfelt and about feelings and emotions and their spiritual and psychic connection. He wants it to be less about just this surface level sexual energy, which he is, of course, excited to experience, but he's just wanting this to come from um, just a heart centered place. So the divine feminine has a lot of security about his intentions because he doesn't, this isn't Knight of Wands intentions. This is like this is very serious King of Pentacles, King of Cups intentions, right? The first thing in his heart, clarifying the Ace of Swords in reverse, is the Nine of Wands in reverse. And so look at all these aces being withheld. The truth is being withheld. The love is being withheld. The communication is being withheld. And the heart space is feeling that the withholding energy that's taking place is a resistance to embracing that divine masculine is done healing. He doesn't need to be isolated anymore. He needs to come out of isolation. His really traumatic wounds that he has received, he has been in this healing process for them. And he has some fear that he will never be fully healed, that he will never be fully capable to offer this cup or this wand. There is fear there. And his heart space is urging him to come out of this isolation and to persevere because it's time to experience this 10 of Pentacles, which is clarifying the King of Pentacles upright. So this worthiness, this real world mastery has allowed for him to create this completion of this real world material abundance. But the interesting part about this card that comes from the Ethereal Visions Tarot is that unlike almost all the other 10 of Pentacles that have figures represented in them, it has the patriarch, a young man, and the loyal companion, that dog energy. So we kind of are looking at almost like the fool arriving with his dog and coming before this patriarch. We don't know if he's inheriting all this wealth from this individual or what's really kind of going on in this 10 of Pentacles because it's so unusual. Most of the time we're seeing a family, we're seeing a married couple. There's a clear house. There's like there's a definite like feeling of this fulfillment of this full familial legacy. But in this case, the 10 of Pentacles is really about this divine masculine fulfillment of himself, starting out as a fool and growing into this wise patriarch who has a legacy that he can leave in the world. So we're seeing that divine masculine's heart space, while he does want this marriage and he wants this family, he does want to have all those things associated with the 10 of Pentacles, that King of Pentacles inside of him is really interested in leaving a legacy. So his career and the things that he makes and manifests, this has equal importance to him as actually having that family. And he's kind of realizing that, you know, maybe answering sort of his own questions about why he protects himself. What he's protecting is his legacy. He fears if he loses himself in some kind of a relationship that he won't necessarily be able to have all of the power that he needs to completely bring fulfillment to the manifestations he's creating. And this is functioning as a block for him. We have the Five of Wands, which is clarifying the Queen of Swords. He's realizing that he's struggling against himself. He's fighting his own energy of like wanting this fulfillment of this family house and everything, but then at the same time having this loyalty to what it is that he's creating in the real world. So the products from his career, whatever that is. So he feels a block energy here. And it's what has kept him from being able to get to this Queen of Swords. And it is what causes the Queen of Swords to be very cautious, because he feels that she may sense that his prioritizing of his coin is more important to him than her, which actually really isn't true. It's deeply important to him, but it's not more important to him than divine feminine. It's just very important. So, but he's afraid of her perception of this, and that she will end up being actually blocking him or blocking the fulfillment of his happiness. And so he's seeking a completion. There's the death card here and a rebirth. And it's clarifying this Eight of Swords, which is about protecting himself, or both of the actually the couple as a union, protecting themselves from the fulfillment of this rebirth. This is there's a resistance here to letting something go. There's something he's not being honest with himself about, because this is what's clarifying this position here. So I'm seeing that he's not wanting to let something die, and he's holding on to some old aspect of self, maybe just something he still believes about himself that's not really true. That's what's functioning to block him. But some resistance to just ending, maybe just this protective behavior in general, is really causing him to have a lot of struggle. And we see the Hierophant. And it is clarifying the sun. So when the Hierophant came out, it came out sideways. And I just, pushed it into the pile. And so it's now come out upright. But there was a shiftiness in it. So some of the old things that he might not be able to let go of, or that he's still carrying wounds. It could be in regards to a past legal contract, like a divorce or whatever, something like that. Because the Hierophant is marriage energy, higher lessons learned, higher level relationships, faith, authority figures, rigidity, controlling kind of stuff too. But in this sense, because it did decide to come out upright and it is clarifying his happiness, we see that his fulfillment does reside in this sacred union, in this marriage energy, which is why when we're seeing this clarification of the King of Pentacles and this Ten of Pentacles, we don't see divine feminine in this image. We know that it is actually his true happiness to be in sacred union with divine feminine, in addition to being able to have this legacy of whatever material creation he's made, have an impact in the world. Oh my God. Okay, so this Magician card is clarified by some overfeeling, and the overfeeling that is clarified. I'm shocked. It's the Ace of Pentacles, which means that all four aces came out on one side already. The Ace of Pentacles is also on Divine Feminine side. So I had all four aces to begin with, but now we have two aces. So yeah. The Magician is being clarified by the Page of Wands in reverse and the Ace of Pentacles. So what we're seeing here is he's trying to suppress his excitement. He's trying not to get too excited, but he has this offer. He is wanting to give it to Divine Feminine. He's feeling this powerless feeling, which is kind of like, I don't know how to do this. Like, I don't know what to do with myself. Like, I have it and it's ready, but like, I don't know. He doesn't want to make these small, ineffective kind of gestures. He wants to make some kind of dramatic gestures, but he's at a loss. He's like, he has limited tools. He has limited like means to be able to give this offer or something like that. So he's not quite exactly sure how to proceed, but he's got it. and it's ready. I'm having a ton of crown chakra pressure right now, like a lot. All right, I'm flipping over Divine Feminine here. Let's see how she is doing. I can't believe those aces, like that fucks my mind up. All right. Top of the deck, overall headspace for Divine Feminine, forefront of her mind, the Chariot. I'm so happy to see this card for Divine Feminine because she's been really dealing with issues of surrendering the last few days. And kind of having some things to do with her ego, of course, and her fears and her trust issues, but it appears that she has fully surrendered. She is feeling a balance between divine masculine and divine feminine energy. There's action and inaction, giving and receiving, and all of these things are kind of flowing in this way that feels balanced and even keeled. Because there's this balance, because things are flowing and there's trust and there's like not taking things personally, not getting triggered because she's dealing with the wounds that were being triggered before. So what kept happening is like there would be some kind of an interaction, her wound would get triggered, she would lose control of the Chariot. It would be all about her ego and that fulfillment of whatever it was she needed, this essence of whatever it was she needed, and she wasn't getting it, and she would then blame it on divine masculine or whatever the thing is that she's trying to manifest, and she would go into a shadow trait of one of the queens and just either be emotionally reactive or emotionally manipulative or whatever it is, right? That would trigger her. But now when she gets triggered, first of all, if she gets triggered, because a lot of those wounds she went and dealt with, and so now they don't really bother her anymore because she doesn't feel insecure in certain aspects. But now if she does experience a moment where she's like uncomfortable, she's got this really consistent and reliable formula that she's applying of the law of attraction, which is that she is consistently seeking for a better feeling thought. So she's not spiraling, which is causing her to be able to regulate her emotions, which is why I keep talking about this emotional regulation thing that is coming up, because it's a concept that I mean, I'd heard before, but it came to my attention a couple of months ago, and with a post that I saw on Instagram, and I reposted it in my stories on Tuned in Tarot last night, about stable ambiguity in relationships and the reasons for it, and how it's not malicious, but it is really because we just don't know how the fuck to have healthy relationships in our society. So rather than risk getting hurt, we stay in this place where we have no responsibility for each other. So there's like enough to hold you there, but not really any responsibility for the other person. And this has become a really common relationship status for a lot of people. And at the heart of it is really kind of getting in there and figuring out the things that you need to give yourself so that you're not putting that responsibility on another person. And then surrendering, right? And just surrendering to someone else is very difficult, but we have to trust that we're being led to the best thing for ourselves. So there's that whole process that happens. And you have to approach yourself with insight. You need mutuality with the other person, and then emotional regulation. Those are the three things that are need to be present in order for you to take your relationship from a place that's just about stable ambiguity into one that is about commitment with someone. So she's understanding these concepts about this process, and it's making her feel this forward motion. And the niggling thing in the back of her mind is this Ace of Pentacles. So this bitch knows she's going to get this offer. She knows she's going to. She's like, my Chariot energy is upright. Things are going forward. I can feel it coming, babe. Like, I feel it coming, babe, right? So there's that kind of an energy. Also, I love the Ace of Pentacles from the Fountain Tarot because we see this lush, green, nourishing setting with this golden ace. And or a golden pentacle rather. And the Ace of Pentacles is wealth and it is abundance. It is all of the things that constitute that too. It's not just material wealth. It's a big, solid offer. The first thing on her mind is the King of Wands, and he's in reverse. So, I love the clarifying card for this. Today, this is 100% about a specific iteration of divine masculine energy. Now, I love you. I love you, my dearest. You are thinking about a specific iteration. But you must reflect upon this energy as your own energy. So I see you thinking about a specific iteration. I know that's what it's about, but I am urging you to think about this as you. So right now, Divine Feminine is thinking that the Divine Masculine she is most interested in, who she understands she will experience this offer from at some point because of this forward motion she's feeling towards this trajectory, or this trajectory towards this Ace of Pentacles. He's not communicating about it. He's not taking the action to give the offer. So it's the very first thing on her mind. She's like, I feel it. I feel it. I feel it. I feel it. But I don't see it. And I don't hear it. But I feel it. But it's still not happening. And I'm noticing it's not happening. And it's still, now that I'm noticing, it's still not happening. And it's still not happening while I was noticing. Shit, stop noticing that, right? Divine Feminine is like, I have to stop noticing this king is not taking action because I'm just going to keep getting that because I keep focusing on it. So that is why it is the first thing on her mind. Stop focusing, she's saying to herself, on the specific iteration, not taking action because you know he's going to. So stop focusing on it, right? I urge her also to think about how she is not taking action and communicating in some way. There is some way she is not doing this. It doesn't necessarily mean that she has to do this to this specific iteration, like she needs to take action or speak to him directly. It doesn't necessarily mean that. It could mean that for some people, if that is potential, that is something they can do. But it is more likely to do with something having to do with her personal fulfillment, independence, career, her King of Wands energy. So what is it you have to think, Divine Feminine, that you are not doing? What big action could you be taking? What big expression could you be making? The next thing on her mind is Knight of Cups. Now, this is great. She's open to receiving and she's comfortable. She's comfortable. This is somebody who can get a compliment and they're not like, oh, stop it. Like, don't, no, right? No. They take a compliment like I do. They're like, thanks. I know, right? Like, yeah, give it to me. I'm very beautiful. I'm very talented. Thank you so much. I appreciate you noticing that about me, right? They can take a compliment. Maybe they're like a little less smug than that. Maybe they're a little nicer than me. I'm a double Leo. What are you going to do? I know I'm great, but yeah, no. They're probably a little more subtle. Like, they're probably like, oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm like, but you're able to receive love, attention, compliments. Your cup is prepared. And you can also express this as well because your Knight of Cups energy is very comfortable with this tidal wave of emotion, this outpouring of emotion. You also feel that one of the reasons that Divine Masculine isn't quite taking action yet is because this is the action he's wanting to take, and that is overwhelming. So he's really working up that King of Wands energy to do this, because the next thing on her mind, which in tandem with the Chariot is profound, we have Eight of Wands. So we have a fast moving energy, like a hurtling kind of energy. We have the Chariot, the team is pulled together and they can charge ahead into their future. And she feels that the messages she'll be receiving from this fast moving energy will have to do with an outpouring of love, and will be in regards to the next thing on her mind, which is the Fool, this new beginning. So she's ready to just leap and just throw caution to the wind. And it is in regards to this King of Wands. So we do see her wanting to take a leap towards a specific iteration of Divine Masculine. She's really longing to do this. And she's also assessing Divine Masculine's inability to take action and communicate as being pretty foolish. So she's wanting to have this new beginning. She's wanting to take this leap, but there is some judgment right now in her headspace that's kind of like, are you fucking serious? Like, you're being a fool. Do you know how much time you're wasting? I know you have some kind of plan. I know you do, but like, fuck your plan, man. Like, let's just get going here. You're being a fool. Like, you're being so dumb. Like, there's definitely that going on. The new beginning, though, comes from her ability that has been a side effect of healing this broken heart, these wounds. She's used all of this outpouring of love for herself, but also from Divine Masculine, because he's been expressing this love to her in some way, even if it hasn't been this direct action of the King of Wands. This outpouring has helped to heal these wounds, and this is no longer blocking her. She's able to see how Divine Masculine's love, being her ability to receive this, is really more about her having healed these wounds that were so desperate for this, rather than that Divine Masculine poured all this love out and healed her heart. No, she's healed the thing inside of her that made her so desperate for this. And once she's done that, then she can finally receive it, because you can't receive something you're desperate for. And the final thing on her mind, King of Cups, and he is in reverse. So we have our union here. King of Cups energy, emotional maturity. He's in reverse for Divine Feminine, clarifying this Eight of Wands for one reason alone: the release of the shadow trait of this king. If this king has any fault, it is just that he remains silent in order not to have any kind of destabilization of the foundation that has been established. He wants to make sure that everyone feels calm and secure, that there are, he doesn't want to rock the boat in any way. So Divine Feminine is thinking he has to release this energy in order to be able to express with this Knight of Cups energy, because the Knight of Cups can express because he's not limited. He doesn't have to protect a kingdom from panicking. He can be sensitive. He can be emotional. He can show his quote unquote weakness by being emotional. Although I would caution us from using that term anymore, because when we talk about emotions as weakness, what we're really saying is that the feminine is less than, is not as strong as the masculine energy. And that is a complete and total falsehood, as we all know, since feminine energy births humans into being. You definitely have to have a pretty strong kind of, presence to do that. So talking about our emotions as a weakness is something that we need to shift, because that is just about the oppression of feminine energy. But that is the fear, right? That's the shadow that the king has, that if he appears to be what he truly is, because what is he truly? Well, he's very deeply in his emotions. If he reveals that, we will lose control. He will lose his power. People will not put their faith in him because he's a woman. That's literally what that fucking means. Isn't that fucked up? That's not what he's thinking. I'm not saying like that's what he's thinking. I'm saying that's what we have done to that feminine energy in our society. We have made it less than desirable, right? So that's the fear and the shadow. So that must be released in order for him to be able to send this outpouring of love, these messages of love. My crown chakra will not stop. It's making me feel dizzy. And I did eat today, so it's not that. Okay, let's go to the heart space for Divine Feminine. Top of the deck, overall heart space. The Hanged Man in reverse. So this is from the Field Tarot. And instead of calling it the Hanged Man card, they call it Perspective, which is really what the Hanged Man receives. The Hanged Man receives perspective. He goes and he hangs himself upside down so that he can see the world from a different angle. And from that angle, be able to maybe have an understanding of why things are not moving or why they aren't going the way they're going or whatever it is that is in their mind. So we have her having been in a period of having surrendered and gained perspective, I think. Because we do see her having surrendered with this Chariot energy. If they were both in reverse, I would say she was resisting surrendering, but I don't see that. What I see is her ability now to stand on her own because she has gained this perspective that she needed about balancing these two aspects of self. And the niggling feeling is the Princess of Swords or Page of Swords energy in reverse. It's a card about curiosity and bravery. It's about being willing to pick up a sword, even though you don't know how to wield it, and just go ahead and dive right into the battle, just hoping you're going to stick something with a pointy end, right? And it's about being willing to do that. So we see to see perspective and curiosity in reverse is interesting. I think she is kind of afraid of the perspective that she's gained. She is afraid of the new ideas that she's seeing, because I do think as she started to take a hard look at Divine Masculine, she's getting some clarity. She's getting clarity about him. And there's that Ace of Swords. First thing on his mind, first thing in her heart space, is him refusing this clarity, right? Not seeing the truth about himself, not wanting to see the truth about himself, that he's not willing to like let go of protecting himself from Divine Feminine or protecting her. That's the other thing. Always having to protect her, which she's like, Divine Masculine, I don't fucking need your protection, man. Like, I'm not a helpless damsel, so I don't need your protection. But like, sometimes she does, though. So she goes back and forth there in her head about that. It's a bit of a conflict for her. But ultimately, she's seeing clearly that while this Divine Masculine is pouring his heart out, there's the Knight of Cups. He isn't taking action and communicating directly to her. He's doing this. He's loving the hell out of her, but he's just sitting there, like in lotus position in both of these cards, right? This is an energy. It's funny because these are both the Knight of Cups, and the Knight of Cups is usually on a horse. He's got the cup and he's bringing it, but in both of these cards, he's just sitting there basking in that love and feeling he has for Divine Feminine without doing anything about it. Eight of Wands, clarified by the Ten of Swords, despair. So Divine Feminine feels that there's this hurtling towards the end of this painful separation. The fact that Divine Masculine doesn't take action after expression for her is very painful, and she feels it keeps her stuck. It pins her down, waiting to hear this outpouring from him. This is the clarity she has. Because he's always expressing this love for me in some way, not directly though. You know, he could be giving her gifts, or he could be making things for her. He could be sending her playlists, or he could be writing poems for her, or he could be you know, whatever, making posts that she knows are about like the things that she loves. And he's just showing, oh, I love you. 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 But I don't actually have any intention of taking action today. I'm not going to today. I'm not going to take action. And I am not going to communicate that directly to you. So she feels stuck and pinned down because she loves this outpouring of love. But as she goes within, because this card also says introspection, as she goes within, she's has this understanding that this is painful. And she really needs these messages that come from this divine masculine to end. Either he needs to end the separation, or if he doesn't plan to take any action, he needs to stop fucking sending her messages that have no actual truth in them. This Fool, it's the Emperor, and she needs him to change. This is the wheel, the Two of Pentacles, right? And it is juggling, it is back and forth energy, and it is imbalance. And this is a bit of overfeeling. And it normally, the last couple of days this has happened, there's been overfeeling, and I've been sure that it's been about not the last card, which it usually will be, but actually it is this one. It came out with this one. She really feels that this Emperor, this rigid, controlling, dictatorial behavior must change. The imbalance is foolish, in her opinion. She needs a new beginning for them where they balance this energy and he's not in control of everything without actually following through. This Three of Swords in reverse is being clarified by the Six of Swords, or transition in reverse. Change coming right before that, and transition. Six of Swords is about building a bridge from the pain and struggle and strife that you've experienced, right? So from this heartbreak, then taking this heartbreak and helping it teach you so that you can move from where you were to where you want to be. But the shadow of the card is that you don't know where that is. You just know it's going to be better than where you were, because some part of you is healed and you've been made whole again, but you have no idea where you're going. And so it's a card about uncertainty. And when we see it in its reverse, it can be a discomfort with uncertainty. You've healed the wounds, but you don't know where you're going. You're transitioning, but you don't know to what. You're desiring a change to happen, that this masculine energy will not be so controlling. You want this new beginning, but you don't know, you're not sure, you're not certain where it will lead you. And then this King of Cups is being clarified by the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. This is culmination, receiving your reward. It's about being single. I think there is a feeling here that you're really needing to release, you're going to hate me, the attachment to a specific manifestation of the divine masculine energy. I hate myself almost for having to see this. So I'm sure you just want to punch me. You are still attached to this one specific iteration. And he is in his shadow, not taking action and not communicating. And if you want to end this feeling of stuck energy, you must release your attachment to him. And don't ask me how to do that because I don't fucking know. Apparently. Salty. Okay, let's go take a look at Divine Masculines. Oracles. So annoying. All right, Divine Masculine, you are in the light traits of the Father, which is a talent for creating and supporting life and being a positive guiding light within a tribal unit. So right now you may be called to be in your light traits of the Father. You might actually have children and you're with them right now, or but you're doing a good job in this role. And if you have doubts about it, don't. You are a good father. And you're releasing dictatorial control and the abuse of authority in regards to how you're moving about in life. So you're doing well. You're in the light traits of the monk energy, which is a selfless devotion and single-minded dedication to spirit. So that 9 of Wands, you're isolated, you're on your own. You're chaste right now. If there are divine feminines worrying about philandering, that is not happening. There's a chastity that is being upheld. And you've released negative judgments of the physical world and excess piety. And you're really just in the light. You are really devoted to your relationship with spirit because you're understanding how integral that is for you to experience happiness, right? To have the Hierophant and the Sun together is kind of a confirmation of that. This is your fulfillment comes from the sacred, comes from that higher power. You're in the shadow of the addict right now. So you're compromising integrity and honesty, and you are allowing an addictive pattern to have authority over your inner spirit, and you need to recognize and confront this addictive behavior. So you might be like, wait, I'm not doing like the substance thing that I do, or I'm not doing this, or I'm not doing that. So how can I still be my addict energy? Well, Divine Masculine, you are addicted, I believe, to this pattern with Divine Feminine where you feel love, express love, intend to experience it, and then isolate yourself, block it, and refuse to let go over and over and over again. So, yeah. Stop doing that, Divine Masculine. You must confront this addictive behavior. You're addicted to this pattern. You give it authority. You're getting the Saint Catherine of Alexandria, the marriage card, again today in its reverse. So to have that there with the Hierophant, we definitely have marriage energy in your spread today. Sacred union. And you could just be needing support. The reversal on this, it might be that you need support in regards to that past energy. If you have a past contract that, a past legal contract with someone in regards to marriage or commitment, you're being supported in that energy of the past. And if you're in your role of father today and dealing with reversal energy on Hierophant energy, there could be just this family also doesn't that family also doesn't appear in your new 10 of Pentacles card, right? Your 10 of Pentacles, it's a new iteration of the family. It's kind of like not yet represented there. So you're dealing with past energy, navigating it, and you're being a good father despite having ended this other marriage, if that is applicable for some of you. Saint Dymphna is here to help you with your emotions. So your King of Cups and Saint Dymphna, you should feel very confident right now about your ability to, first of all, trust your emotions and be guided and led by them, because this has like Hermit and High Priestess energy combined. And also that you don't have to be afraid of your emotions taking over, making you weak, like we were talking about with that King of Cups energy. You're getting this again, and you got it yesterday with the marriage card. I think it's significant. Freedom. You are truly free. This cage that's around the divine feminine, it's an illusion. There's not actually a cage there, right? It's a light. It's one that's formed by the reflection of the light, right? And so you have a perception that you're not free to be with divine feminine, but you're being shouted at right now. I'm not going to do it, but you are free, divine masculine. You are free to do this. You are not bound by those past contracts or past responsibilities to never have what it is that you desire. I choose to learn through love. That Hierophant card, learning lessons, choosing to learn through love rather than lack. There are some adjustments required, divine masculine. There is a reluctance or resistance to letting go of something. And I'm seeing this past marriage energy, the death card in its reverse, and then the Hierophant. You are having a hard time letting go of your previous responsibilities. And just so you know, nothing will come of this situation. So, whatever energy or focus or attention you're giving to this past marriage, these issues with it, fears, worries, anxieties, or it's actively a problem right now, nothing is going to come of it. It's not going to sway your ability to go towards divine feminine. The void of course moon is about when the moon is at a period of time in its progression through its cycle where it is not more of one thing or another. So something isn't more likely to happen than another thing. So your worries and fears in regards to something, that also is not going to be a problem for you. It's not bad or good in this particular case. But nothing will come of it. If it's worrying you, if there's something that's happening with it, just don't be worried about it. It's not going to be a problem. It's also a warning that you invest too much headspace into this, that you waste time thinking about it because nothing will come of it. The threats that you receive, if that's a thing, the the honestly just the things you think up, like the stories you tell about what could happen it's not going to happen. Allow this to be true. A new romantic cycle begins. Let that be true for today. Get out of that pattern you're addicted to and start a new romantic cycle. Remember, whatever's happening right now, it is happening for you, not to you. So choose to learn through love. Don't be blaming. Don't be holding resentments. How are you dimming your light in order to fit in? Show the world the real you. You got that yesterday. You get that all the time. You really, really, really need to do this. Stop dimming your light. Show the world the real you. Don't dim just to fit in. You're getting the protection message of Moth Spirit, which is surrender now, from the Colette Baron Reed deck, the Spirit Animal Oracle. All right. The protection message is Moth Spirit can be intense, and honesty about your own compulsive tendencies is needed right now. It is too easy to switch from one addiction to another, distracting yourself from the discomfort of uncertainty and the thoughts and emotions that arise when you aren't single-mindedly pursuing a goal. Moth Spirit calls to you to practice moderation in all things and recognize when you think you are headed toward the light but are really heading into a fire that will cause burnout. Why are you so resistant to letting up? Could you be avoiding difficult emotions you need to feel and release? Now is a time to do a fearless inventory so that your addictive tendencies can be toned down and rechanneled into enthusiastic activity in moderation. You are not a machine. Listen to Moth Spirit's message that a change is needed to support your well-being, right? Divine Feminine knows it. emperor must change to support his well-being so he can have the new beginning he desires. Maybe deep down you know you have become too attached to something and someone. Let go of your need to control the outcome and allow yourself to remember the many ways you want to channel your energy to relationships, to work, to giving to others, to self-care, and to all other pursuits you value. Divine Feminine got that card the other day when she was overdoing it, thinking constantly about Divine Masculine, focused on Divine Masculine all the time. Divine Masculine, you might be in the same energy, but for you, I actually feel that it is more about the discomfort, the uncertainty when you aren't single-mindedly pursuing a goal. And so you feel this fear about ending the separation right now because you don't know what you're going to replace it with. This separation, oh my God, has become your addiction. Fuck, it sucks. I'm sorry, I'm facing that truth about myself. Fuck. Okay. Shit. Divine Feminine, let's look at your light oracles. Shitty dick. Okay. You are in the light attributes of the prostitute right now, which is accentuating the challenge of surviving without negotiating the power of your spirit. Love that for you, babes. Look at all the abundance you're experiencing. I'm doing a photo shoot today. I want to have this kind of an energy in it, but you are accentuating the challenge of surviving, but you're without negotiating the power of your spirit. So you've released placing material consideration and security above self empowerment. And instead, you are really able to maintain abundance through your passions without negotiating. So you don't have to, like, if you've always had to work like minimum wage jobs to get by because you didn't believe that whatever, trade you have, whether it be healing, light work, music, writing, whatever, which I did a poll this week asking how many of my followers are musicians like I am, just curious about the collective, and 50% considered themselves musicians of the people that responded. So it was 50-50, which I thought was interesting. But anyway, you are able to receive abundance from your passions without negotiating the power of your spirit. You're also in the light attributes of the priest energy, which is facilitating spiritual commitments and serving as a channel of spiritual energy. So because you've been keeping spiritual commitments to yourself, your meditation practice, your tarot practice, your healing, like inner healing, inner child work, whatever it is that you've been doing, because you have those commitments, you are now serving as a channel of spiritual energy for others. And so they're coming to you for advice and guidance, and you're really just filled with spirit. Christ is here to help you with the miracle. And I swear to God, I need Christ, because if this freaking separation is my addiction, like, I need this. So I'm glad he's here today. Christ is here with the miracle. This is rebirth energy, being reborn, raised from the dead, healing, deep, deep, deep healing. And as a priest, you're in direct communication with Christ as well. So you have this direct channel to this Christ energy. You're getting an emphasis on this forgiveness card. I think you need to forgive yourself for holding on so tightly to this divine masculine. It's not been easy. It's kept you feeling stuck. This separation, this addiction to the separation, the addiction to separation, being stuck thing, I'm so triggered because it's this Knight of Cups energy that keeps me addicted. Like, that's what I'm addicted to. Receiving that outpouring of love, but then not getting anything I need. Fuck. Go away, ego. Come back later. Forgiveness. So you need to forgive yourself for that little dialogue that just took place. Forgive yourself for having a difficult time letting go of something that is making you feel pinned down and causes you a lot of pain. You are doing that healing You have surrendered the reins because you feel like you don't know exactly how to proceed. So just forgive yourself for this. You haven't done anything wrong, also. I witness the darkness and call on the light with my prayer. Thank you, universe, for guiding me to perceive this fear through the eyes of the teacher of love. So, just remembering that your fear that you are stuck, that you can't move forward, that you are pinned down in this painful separation, you have to have gratitude that you are learning the lessons from this through the eyes of love. Because there are all kinds of ways to learn these lessons about being attached to things. And learning it through the eyes of love is a lot more comfortable than some of the other profoundly less uncomfortable ways. A personal issue reaches resolution. This is Cancer energy, so this could be having to do with the family, the home. If there's something that's been going on for you, that personal issue is now reaching some kind of a resolution. Trust the niggle. What is the niggling feeling trying to tell you? Well, for Divine Feminine, the niggling feeling is this Page of Swords in reverse. The niggling thing in the back of her mind is this Ace of Pentacles. So I think her heart is urging her to resist feeling like she won't be able to receive this pentacle and know exactly what to do with it. I think she's also being urged to be curious about this pentacle, but not so curious that she forgets the perspective she gained, which is that while this divine masculine sure is loving in his indirect expression, the clarity is he is not taking action. And trust that niggling feeling that's like, be cautious, be curious, but trust that your offer is coming. All right. And finally, you are getting Chameleon Spirit. Act as if, and you are getting the protection message. Being sensitive and having empathy for others can become a heavy burden if you don't practice self-care. Could it be you're feeling stressed because you've tuned into challenging emotions that aren't even yours? Chameleon Spirit does not want you to adapt to these conditions by withdrawing or distracting yourself, hoping the feelings will just go away, or attempting to rescue another who may be having a pity party. You can be swallowed up trying to manage it all. It is time to figure out where you end and the rest of the world begins. Not all conditions are yours to match. You need to distinguish your own color from the rest of the world right now and take time out to soothe your sensitive soul. Choose some activities that will restore your sense of being grounded and avoid people who revel in drama. Take a break from social media too. Self-care and a timeout is the answer to this temporary dilemma. So the personal issue thing, whatever that is, it's saying here that taking care of yourself and taking a time out from, maybe there's someone in your life that's like needing a lot of care. They're going through something, and Spirit is saying, don't withdraw from them. Don't distract yourself, hoping that those feelings will just go away, or attempt to rescue somebody who's having a pity party. So there's somebody in your life, and it could be the divine masculine energy that you're constantly trying to like make sure he's not bottoming out, whatever it is. It could be another person, a friend, a family member, but somebody that's requiring just a lot of attention, having like their pity party or something. And you just need to distinguish yourself from that energy. That's not your energy. That's not where you're. I'm having that happen a lot lately, where as I'm doing spiritual counseling for people, I frequently am having people that are not in my energy that need my help. And so I'm having to learn to navigate not taking on their energy, right? Holding my own space and then holding a space for them to meet me where I'm at. So just being careful and cautious about those people in your life and your empathy for them, and making sure you're really taking care of yourself. Okay, we're going to close the reading with the bottom of the deck. We have both the divine feminine and divine masculine energies in the shadow attributes of the engineer. So this is a reliance on mechanistic solutions without regard for emotional consequences. So you're trying to control things mechanistically, as if you could. It's sort of this, like, it's like thinking that if you just eat X amount of calories and exercise X amount of hours, then you will have the body that you desire, without accounting for all of the myriad things built in to that scenario that don't function the way that things function in a lab. When they first identified certain attributes of the COVID, they released this information that it was highly contagious off of surfaces. Like, you could touch, get it from surfaces. But then eventually they had to change it, because when they did that study, they did it the way scientists did. They studied these materials, cardboard, plastic, steel, fabrics, whatever, in a completely controlled environment with completely controlled levels of oxygen, filtered air, whatever. So if you're trying to simulate the a real world environment, it cannot be that controlled. There has to be sunlight, there has to be wind, there has to be pollen, there has to be like all of these elements that can't be controlled to be able to actually perform that experiment. So they discovered within a few months of that hypothesis that actually it wasn't even half as contagious, or even a quarter of as contagious as they thought it was, because of all the environmental elements that would prevent this virus from being able to linger on a piece of cardboard or steel or whatever for hours and hours and hours. Those things are only ever possible to achieve in a controlled lab environment. So you are imagining that you have a controlled environment and then trying to apply mechanistic solutions, and you don't have that. You have a real world environment with a lot of free will floating around, a lot of individuals having their experiences. And so rather than relying on these solutions without regard for what this is actually going to do to somebody, like if you're like, this is my plan, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this now, and I'm going to do this then, and when I have this, this is going to be like this, because I think this is the best possible way to be able to show this truth to this person. And then not think about what it's going to feel like to be on the receiving end of that, the real person receiving that. Or for divine feminine in particular, needing divine masculine to approach her on her timeline, right? Without regard for the constant emotional consequences it will have for him because of what he has to do to adjust to be able to do that. So you need to call in the light, which is the ability to give creative energy a practical expression, and talent for designing resolutions to common dilemmas. So rather than being mechanistic without regard, you need to give your creative energy that you have practical expression. So you're needing to make plans and strategize, but you have to be able to think on your feet and have a talent for designing resolutions to common dilemmas as they occur, and have an understanding that there is no total control possible. You have to just allow for things to happen. You're getting Saint Mother Teresa energy, activist energy. This is action. Take action. This is about being an activist for each other, for the union. And you might be called to be activists in the world in some other way as you come together. There's travel here. There's travel towards one another. We saw the Chariot. We saw the Eight of Wands. We know that there's motion from divine masculine towards divine feminine. So it could be that there is this travel that is being made. This is also about the journey in general, that you are on this journey together, and that it is the journey that it is what is truly enjoy fulfilling, and what you are enjoying ultimately. You think it's the destination, but it's not. It's getting there. And so it's just having an appreciation for being on this journey together. Thank you, universe, for helping me see beyond the limits of fear. Thank you for expanding my perception so that I can see what is the highest good. So this is about just having appreciation for this journey, that it was this that helped you see beyond your fears and expanded your awareness so that you could see your potential and the potential for this relationship. And also praying for the ability to see what is for the highest good, not just your own ego. Step out of your comfort zone. It is not comfortable when you start something new. So you have to be willing to step out of that comfort zone and break the chain. What's comfortable is doing what our ancestors have always done before us, right? Even if it didn't make sense. But those are ancestral patterns. We are healing them and we are rewriting the future. We don't have to engage in this behavior anymore. We are breaking the chain. And then finally, we're getting Wasp Spirit, which is sometimes life stings. I don't think I've ever gotten this protection message. Are you holding on to anger, jealousy, or resentment because you got stung? Or could you have just stung yourself by comparing yourself to others? There will always be someone else who is more successful, happier, thinner, richer. Jealousy is the false belief that you can't have what you want, or someone could take away something that was supposed to be yours. Let it go and release all those feelings that are making the sting hurt long after the stinger has been removed. Wasp Spirit has woken you up, and now you are called to trust that disappointment can lead you to a different and better path. Align with Spirit now and trust that this too shall pass and is already doing so, for the pain subsides when you stop telling the story of how much it hurt. So both of you need to stop telling the story of how much it has hurt, this journey, traveling towards one another, the people that you met on the journey, what they have done to you, all of those stories we tell. You need to stop telling the old story and tell a new one. All right, let's close out this reading with the energy from the Goddess Knowledge cards. We're using this for our goddess practice, which is to help balance goddess energy inside of self, since we have definitely overemphasized God energy. To do this practice, you put two hands over your heart for 15 minutes at any point sometime today, and repeat the mantra, my heart is the heart of the goddess. So you can picture any divine feminine energy that you like, including your own self looking fabulous. The idea is just that you embrace goddess energy inside of yourself. And I like to pull one of these cards so that we can see goddesses from different times and across different cultures. We are getting jumpy card, Flora. She's pretty. Flora, or flourishing one, was the Roman goddess of flowers, gardens, and spring. She is the embodiment of all nature. Her name has come to represent all plant life. She is especially a goddess of flowers, including the flower of youth. Her festival of unrestrained pleasure, the Floralia, was celebrated at the end of April and beginning of May. This festival was probably the origin of the maypole dance and the gathering of bouquets of flowers, symbolizing the bringing of spring and new life into the world. She gives charm to youth, aroma to wine, sweetness to honey, and fragrance to blossoms. Flora teaches us to honor growing things, both inside and outside us. She is a reminder to pay attention to pleasure, to the beauty of spring, and to new life wherever it is found. She is very present right now, as it is almost springtime. All right, thank you so much for joining me. This is closing out our reading today. I'm now going to teach, and then I have a photo shoot at 2 p.m. I'm excited for it. It is for the new record. So that is happening today. So I'm going to go do that. Oh, hey, I see this person. I don't know if you're still here, but I'm sending you this message. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for joining me. Please like, subscribe, share, click on the bell for notifications so you know when I'm going live. Or you can also follow me at Tuned In Tarot on Instagram, where I post a time-lapse video of the shuffle that I do every day with the songs that play during the shuffle, so you can see the additional messages. There were some good ones today, so go to my Instagram and click that and listen to those songs for any other messages that might help you for today. Follow me at Pearl in the Prayers on Instagram as well if you're interested in staying up to date with my record that will be coming out soon. And I'm trying to think of everything. I think that's everything. Oh, tomorrow at 12 p.m., you will have the opportunity yet again to see me read live with Grace Drago, which we tend to do every Sunday, but we had to take a little break. We are back on tomorrow at noon, which means I likely will not be here tomorrow morning for the daily check-in in the morning. Instead, you will see me and Grace Draga do it at 12 p.m. And then we do take questions, so you can ask personal questions and we will pull cards for you for about 30 minutes. We do that. So if you come early and put your question in a little comment box, there's a little question mark on it. We usually answer the questions as we get them in order for as much time as we have. So if you're interested in taking part in that event, or you just can't miss one day without some kind of a check-in, please join me tomorrow on Instagram Live with Grace Drake at 12 p.m. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day today. Take care. Maybe you're going to get an offer. There was a lot of aces in that spread today. If you get an offer, just say yes.